Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News today at 3 p.m. 4th March 2026. Equivalent Islamic calendar 15th day of Ramadan 1447 after Hijrah. In the headlines, President Tinubu unveils climate revolution to fast-track resilient low-carbon economy. The government says Abuja-Kaduna highway set for April delivery. Army Chief General Shehu attacks military special forces on decisive supremacy against terrorists. On the international scene, Russia expresses supports Iran, warns U.S. over risk of worldwide war. On a sports update, Falcons beat Cameroon 3-1. Uzuhu now Eagles' #1 goalkeeper. These are more news will be coming to you in double letter. I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has launched the renewed climate change awareness tour, calling on governors, private sector leaders, and stakeholders to fast-track Nigeria's transition to a resilient low-carbon economy. Tinubu, who was represented by the Minister of Environment, Balaraba Abbas Lawal in Abuja, described climate action as both urgent and opportunistic. He also charged the government to turn Nigeria's nationally determined contributions into actionable projects, stressing that commitment must be matched by investments. The president also tasked governors as engines of green growth, the private sector to innovate boldly, and youth to take ownership of the transition, aligning the efforts with the renewed hope agenda for sustainable development, energy, and food security. On his part, the Environment Minister expressed the urgency of local climate interventions, citing this encroachment in the north, flooding in riverine areas, and coastal erosion in south. So on the news, federal government reaffirmed its commitment to the realization of Nigeria's space policy and program as enshrined in the revised 25-year roadmap for space development. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, gave assurance during the first meeting of the National Space Council held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He ordered the immediate release of the funds for maintenance of the country's space assets in line with the National Space Policy and Program. The President also assured that his administration, through the renewed hope agenda, is committed to developing the society by engaging relevant human resources for the socio-economic improvement of our nation. A civil society organization, CSO, the Kaduna Maternal Accountability Mechanism, KADMA, has lamented that only a paltry 36 million naira was released from the 218 billion naira allocated to Nigeria's health sector. The co-chair of KADMA, Garba Muhammad, made this known in a press release, highlighting that his underfunding translates into dilapidated hospitals, poorly equipped maternity wards, critical shortages of essential medicines, and abandoned primary healthcare projects. He decried that this financial neglect is particularly devastating given Nigeria's already high burden of maternal and under-5 mortality. Also, the president of the Pediatricians Association of Nigeria, Academic Ukuri, condemned the allocation as reflecting a significant lack of investment in Nigerian children's well-being, particularly as the country grapples with high neonatal and under-5 mortality rates of 41 and 110%, 1,000 live births. However, health experts stress that the consequences of underfunding are most acute during the critical first 1,000 days of a child's life, from conception to the second birthday. Presidency has confirmed that the long-delayed Abuja-Kaduna highway has reached 80% completion, with 60 kilometers of the redesigned concrete pavements already delivered. The remaining stretch is scheduled for completion by the end of April 2026. The Director of Press at the Federal Ministry of Works, Abdullahi Mohammed, announced this during an inspection tour, part of the ongoing national media tour, reaffirming the government's commitment to fast-tracking one of Nigeria's most strategic transport corridors. He said the media tour highlighted the government's commitment to upgrading transport infrastructure nationwide. The project was awarded to Employees Nigeria Limited following the termination of the previous contract with Julius Brother Nigeria PLC. Controller of Works on the project, Chukwuemeka Kalu, described the highway as the heartbeat of the nation, stressing that its completion remains a top infrastructure priority. In another development, federal government has prohibited cash collection of taxes and banned the mounting of roadblocks for revenue enforcement in spite of fresh regulations to implement Nigeria's new tax laws nationwide. The Executive Secretary of the Joint Revenue Board, Olusegun Adesokan, announced this during the signing of the presumptive tax regulations and guidelines on the implementation of the tax laws at the Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja. He added that the new framework was designed to end informal, coercive, and fragmented tax practices, particularly at the subnational level. Adesokan also explained that the regulations would encourage transparency and equity in tax administration, especially within the commerce and informal sectors. He also noted that nano and small businesses with an annual turnover of 12 million naira and below would be exempted under the presumptive tax regime. An Abuja High Court on Tuesday adjourned until March 11, 2026 the Fundamental Rights Enforcement lawsuit filed by Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) and others. The case was delayed due to the absence of counsel for the respondents. The former governor of Kaduna State is seeking 1 billion naira in damages over the unlawful search of his Abuja residence. When the matter came before the court, only Ubang Apan appeared for the applicant as there was no representation for the respondents. Apan informed the court that although the case was scheduled for mention, the respondents had not yet been served with the court's processes. He therefore sought an adjournment to enable proper service. Meanwhile, the presiding judge, Justice Judge Abdul Malik, subsequently adjourned the matter until March 11th for further mention. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come in the news. Army Chief General Shaibu tasked military special forces on decisive supremacy against terrorists. On the international scene, Russia expresses supports Iran warns U.S. over risks of worldwide war. And a sports update, Falcons beats Cameroon 3-1. Uzoho now Eagles' #1 goalkeeper. Stand by for these and more after this break. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. Troops of the 4th Special Forces Command has been charged to intensify high-impact operations to decisively defeat terrorists and insurgents across Nigeria. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Y.B. Shabu, gave the directive during his maiden operational visit to the command on Tuesday in Doma, Nasarawa State. Acting Director Army Public Relations Colonel Apollonia Anele in his statement said the Nigerian Army Special Forces remained at the forefront of ongoing efforts to dismantle and kill criminal networks threatening national security. Shaibu also emphasized the critical role of precision driving and intelligence-led operations in dominating the battle space, urging personnel to remain proactive, adaptive, and mission-focused, noting that the evolving security environment required speed, surprise, and superior combat readiness. Earlier, the Army Chief received operational briefings from the Commander for Special Forces Command, Major General Olurotimi Awolowo, and the Commandant Nigerian Army Special Forces School, Brigadier General Umar Farouk Abubakar. Still on national security, troops of the Joint Task Force Operation Enduring Peace have rescued 2 kidnapped victims in Plateau State and arrested a suspected gun runner in Kaduna State as part of ongoing operations against criminal elements within their joint operations area. Media Information Officer for the Task Force, Captain Tinonso Polycarp Oti, in a statement said the troops were said to have recorded the successes during coordinated patrols and stop and search operations. He also added that Joint Operations Area troops of Operation Enduring Peace deployed at Wase have rescued 2 kidnapped victims around Kukawa in Kanam local government area of Plateau State. In the same vein, the troops deployed at Sanga in Kaduna State intercepted a gunrunner, Vincent Ibrahim, during a stop and search operation at Skurminguru village, conveying weapons to another location. So on the news, Kaduna State government has unveiled gains in security, agriculture and social development in preparations to host the 2026 Annual Week and National Conference of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Commissioner for Information Ahmed Miyagi listed some achievements while receiving members of the NRPR National Planning Committee led by Yomi Badejo Kusanya at the Ministry of Information in Kaduna State. He, however, said the choice to host over 2,000 delegates was validation of the state's reform agenda. Miyagi also explained that the event will bring together global public relations experts, policymakers, and industry leaders to interrogate how communication can drive real impact in food security. The commissioner also hinted that over 300,000 out-of-school children had been enrolled back into classrooms as part of the Kaduna Peace model. Federal government has launched a $552 million hub for quality basic education for all program aimed at accelerating reforms in Nigeria's basic education sector. The Director of Press and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Education, Boriowo Folashade, in a statement in Abuja, said the initiative facilitated by the ministry is designed to improve foundational learning, expand access to quality basic education, and strengthen education systems across participating states in Nigeria. He also quoted the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, as saying that the program aligns with the Nigerian education sector renewal initiative and is structured to promote measurable, transparent, and result-based reforms. In another development, the Ministry of Education has formalized a strategic partnership with the National Population Commission (NPC) to integrate birth registration and demographic data into Nigeria's school enrollment and education planning systems. Spokesperson for Federal Ministry of Education, Folashade, in a statement noted that Lausha said credible population data is essential for rational school seating, balanced teacher deployment, accurate enrollment projections, and equitable resources allocation. Moving to the foreign scene, Russia has expressed support for Iran and warned U.S. President Donald Trump, cautioning that continued escalation in the Middle East will promote a worldwide global conflict. According to a report by Anadolu Agency, Russian officials expressed worry over rising military tensions in the region and warned that ongoing confrontations risk escalation if immediate restraint is not exercised. In a similar development, Spain has cautioned President Donald Trump, insisting that the U.S. must respect international law and existing agreements after Trump threatening to cut off trade ties. Government officials therefore emphasize that any review of trade relations must follow international law, EU-US agreements, and respect for private companies' autonomy. Also, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has responded to criticism from U.S. President regarding London's decision not to participate in proposed strikes on Iran. Starmer defined his stance, saying it is his duty to judge what is in Britain's. Starmer also defended his stance, saying it is his duty to judge what is in Britain's national interests. Finally, to the sports on scene. Nigeria Super Falcons defeated the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon 3-1 in their second friendly in Yaoundé. The African champions had lost 1-0 to their hosts in the first friendly last Saturday. However, bounced back with a commanding display to show their superiority. Cameroon took the lead through Christiani as the Super Falcons battled back into the game, with Chiwedu Izewu equalizing by Rinsola Babajide gave Nigeria the lead in the game before the break. In another development, Super Eagles coach Eric Taylor has named Francis Uzoho as the new first-choice goalkeeper of the team, with Stanley Nwabali currently inactive. Nwabali is still without a club after terminating his contract with Chippa United, and with the Super Eagles set to return to action later this month, there is need to get a new number one. Finally, on the news, the top stories again. President Tinubu unveils climate revolution to fast-track resilient low-carbon economy. The government says Abuja-Kaduna highway set for April delivery. Army Chief General Shehu attacks military special forces on decisive supremacy against terrorists. On the international scene, Russia expresses supports Iran, warns US over risk of worldwide war. On a sports update, Falcons beat Cameroon 3-1. Uzoho now Eagles' #1 goalkeeper. These are more news will be coming to you in double letter. That was Standard Voice Television Global News for today. Our next bulletin comes up later. On behalf of the news editor Elia Adamu Auta and the production crew, I am Hamida Mohammed Idris, thanking you for investing your time and staying with the news. Ramadan Mubarak.